Today I came to Szczecin, Poland to visit Ostap Hel in his workshop, where I could film how he crafts everything by hand from exotic materials. Then I saw how he designs his knives, and I could also try some of his brand new prototypes. Ostap is best known for his collaborations with Real Steel, Bestech and Civivi, but also famous for his highly collectible Mjolnir impact tools, and is hands down one of my favorite designers in the whole knife industry. So you can imagine how thrilled I was when I found his workshop and knocked on his door. Hey,
Hello.
Is this the right place?
Yep, come on in.
We can't wait to see your whole workshop, but I think we should start with a pocket check. What do you carry?
Sure, I do have prototypes. I always carry a prototype of my upcoming collaborations. This one is with remet knives. It's a prototype which we are going to release soon. And actually this place is full of different kind of knives and prototypes. Right over here I do have the Ion prototype based on a flashlight. It's designed for a O-Knife brand. It's kind of also unusual structure with a hidden pivot. I've already tested it and it hits the production, should be available pretty soon. It comes in few different versions. Titanium is limited to 400 pieces, I think, and the Zirconium only 115, so it's pretty limited.
Man, these designs look amazing. How did you come up with them?
With designs, it all starts on a paper in my sketchbook. Just over here, one of my sketchbooks, because over the year I filled like 3 or 4 sketchbooks with the concept ideas, and I use my magic Pika pen for that, which is very helpful. And after the concept is done in a sketchbook, I move it to the Corel, to the graphic software, where I adjust the mechanic, lock and lines, and then it moves to the 3D software, and then it goes to the manufacturer, which creates a prototype, and then after the prototyping, checking and adjusting, it goes to the final production, and you can see it in your favorite dealer shops.
How long is the phase of prototyping?
It depends on manufacturer. Usually it's not less than a few months. If manufacturer wants to make it really quick, it takes like 3 to 4 months. If manufacturer have a line of different projects, it might take even up to a year. Basically, it depends on the manufacturer abilities and yeah.
And how many collaborations have you made?
Well, a lot. I finished this cabinet like almost 2 years ago, and since then I got way more collabs designs coming, which are packed in boxes beneath it, and I have to build another cabinet to fill my current collaboration projects. They're like organized in brands, so the Civivi, Civivi again, the Bestech Man, over here the prototypes, which never went into production even, the concepts, the Real Steel, and all the different variants of metamorphs. It's like 15 of them, 16. All of those are metamorphs.
How would you describe your style? What's your design language?
I would say based on geometry. The geometry is the most important factor when I'm designing. It's based on few simple objects like lines, circles, squares, and simple geometrical shapes. I would describe it as a kind of minimalistic, but with elements of futuristic and modern style. I really like modern angled shapes, which can play the lights on it. For example, the pretty one, based on a circles, as you can see. I do also like design things which aren't super regular shaped, like the one I did for a CVV, a little cloud blade, or more classic and utilitarian shapes like the navel I recently did, also for the same brand.
You design only knives, or you got anything else up your sleeve?
So it all started a few years ago when I wanted to make a custom knife. I've decided to learn the machining process and the finishing process, and I've think how to make it in the right way, and I came up with the idea to make something simple without any moving parts, just a solid block of material on which I can exercise the machining process, the finishing, the chamfering, polishing, and all those stuff. And I came up with the first generation of Mjolnirs just to get more experience in that field. And it turned out people really liked them. So I've designed three generations. First one was made completely by my hand and with the simple tools. It's already discontinued. Then I learned and moved to the CNC machining and created the second generation, which looks like this. And after a year or two, I've come up with a more modern and with an extra details and stuff like Mjolnir, the third generation.
And why are these Mjolnir special? What do you think why people like them so much?
I think it's because of their pretty unique design and the finish I'm trying to get on them. I always try my best to provide the special finishes and the top-notch quality, focusing on every little details, which I will show you later in my shop. They're highly collectible little items, I would say. I have collectors from all over the world which collect almost all of the available shapes and materials and combinations. From time to time I do limited editions on Halloween or like Christmas stuff, so they are numbered and in weird sometimes materials, but yeah.
So what's your workshop like? Can you give us a tour?
Sure, we can start from the main part of the shop. It's the kind of machining department, that I would say. It's just a small area filled with metalworking machines, the basic one I used. So there's a manual lathe, the manual milling drilling machine for simple tasks, the main workshop bench, actually two of them, and the main machine I'm like working with all the time is the CNC one. We can take a look inside.
Yeah, sure, I would love that.
So basically that's the main machine I'm working with, computer controlled mill, I would say, and we can turn it on to make it move a bit and show what's going on there.
It's magic.
Yep, it's like basically very similar to manual machines, but in manual machines you have to use the cranks to move all the axes, and that's the cranks replaced by the actual motors, stepper or servo motors, which will do the turning by computer, and they can find position by calculating the amount of turns on the screw. So you don't have to dial with the hand wheel, just put the coordinates in the computer and then do the work. It's closed because it's produced a lot of chips, a lot of coolant, like this is like titanium chips with a bit of brass and a bit of carbon fiber, so you can collect them often. It's not, I would say, a professional machine, but I try to make it professional as much as I can because it's a homemade built machine. I built it myself basically from the scratch. I had like a base from one of the cheap machines, the cast iron base, and then I started rebuilding it, and I rebuilt it for like a few months, adjusting and giving it the right tolerances, replacing the spindle, replacing the movement, adding the covers, adding the box, and basically I tried to turn it as much professional as I could.
Okay, so all your custom-made Mjolnirs are made in this very machine.
Yes, it starts from the solid brick of material, depends on what you like, the titanium, the brass, the carbon fiber, and this brick turns into the Mjolnirs here, rough shape of the Mjolnirs. Then it has to be finished by hand.
Can you show us a negative?
Sure. I have like a kind of middle of the process part which was broken, and it basically starts from the brick, like a solid brick of titanium, grade 5, which you can place in the mill, place the tooling in, like a carbide end mill, into the spindle, and then mill all the shapes. And after a few hours of milling, because it's pretty detailed work, you get the actual kind of cutted Mjolnirs. Here's the roughly cut. Here are the finished one, almost finished one. Then you have to cut it out and finish by hand.
How long does it take to cut you these two Mjolnirs from that block?
For example, the block of titanium, it took me around 6 hours program to cut two of those because I'm using very preservative fit and speed tolerance, fit and speed specs, because machine is kind of a small one and I cannot push it to its limits. So I prefer to stay calm. There's like less noises. It took longer, but with the custom work, you have to take time. It's not like serious production when you have to manufacture thousands of pieces. You're just working on 2 pieces for the whole month. So you can spend a day of your working day just for machining and to make it right with the tiny hand mills, tiny stepovers, and the tiny details which you control after each pass and double check or doing all the necessary stuff, and it takes time.
So you certainly prefer quality over quantity.
That's for sure. My quantity is very limited. I mostly do them for customers' requests only, so it's not like a product you can buy in the shop or the production I run all over the night or like all the time. It's just if customers want it, I manufacture it according to his needs and requirements.
Can you show us some other materials that you use for the Mjolnirs?
Sure, we can switch to my material kind of library. So basically, in the workshop, we can close the main machine. In the workshop, I try to keep everything near the machine it's related to. So near the CNC machine, there is like a tool library, so I can move on quickly. There is a control. There is a microscope to check the quality of the milled part. So we will move to that later. And on the right, under the manual machine, there is my material library. So all those drawers are kind of my stock library. And we can start from the top one, which is full of titanium Damascus, zirconium Damascus, and premium materials like Damascus steel, like zirconium Damascus, titanium Damascus, and some cutouts. Basically, the titanium or zirconium Damascus is pretty hard to make. It's pretty expensive to buy because it has to be forged in a very specific environment. And you cannot really buy those bricks of premium materials in the shop. You have to find your own blacksmith, order specific materials, and then ask him to forge it in a proper way so they can bond together and then they can create a pattern you want. For example, the random pattern of black zirconium and yellowish velvet titanium. And it also comes in a pattern like this. So you can basically choose the pattern, choose the size, and do the choice you need to create the work you actually trying to achieve. Yeah, it's like all the same pattern. Beads are made from the same material or from the special rod, also made by the same blacksmith, forged on my request. And these materials are pretty premium, so I made them from time to time for a special collector's requests, which goes mostly to Asia, some of them to US. Some of them stays in Europe, but it's like maybe, I don't know, few times a year order to fulfill the collector's needs. As I mentioned, I don't do the quantity, I make the quality, and to prepare a proper Mjolnir from such expensive material it takes time and risk not to ruin the stock. So below there we have a titanium drawer full of titanium stuff. This is like bricks of titanium, grade 5 titanium. It also comes in rods if necessary. I used to make rings at the beginning. I've made few sets of wedding rings, but it's kind of hard because titanium is a pretty solid material, and with gold rings or silver rings, you can adjust the size after a few years. When your wife takes care of you, you get fatter and fatter, and your finger gets bigger and bigger. You can go to the jewelry store and say, I would like to make my wedding ring bigger if it's made with gold. With titanium, it stays the same size all your life. So you basically have to remove more material to fit your finger, and you cannot shrink it down if you get loose of your weight. So I don't make any more wedding rings from titanium, but this is like leftovers from the old times. And below we have the brass drawer full of brass. That's the basic material I'm preparing my Mjolnir with.
Shiny.
Yeah, it's shiny. It's called the hydraulics gold. They like to make pipes out of it and all kind of valves because it's like kind of water resistant and it stays clean over time, especially the inside of the pipes which deliver water. That's why they use brass in hydraulics. And I make my Mjolnirs out of it as well. It's like a basic material for everyday carry items.
And how heavy is that drawer? I mean, that's a lot of brass.
Yeah, actually, it's a drawer from the old factory I've restored. I can show you pictures of restoration process. It took me like 3 months to take them apart, clean each of them, find the weird stuff inside because it comes from an old factory. So it was filled with original insides like old books, old notes, chewing gum, or like pencils and stuff like that. Calendars with naked ladies, stuff you can find in old factories. And I've cleaned it. I repainted the fronts because it might take too much time for me to repaint it only the insides. So insides are kind of still in original communistic colors they used to use back in 80s, 70s for workshop. But the material is super nice. It's like solid piece of steel everywhere, so they can handle probably like 20 kilos overload from here, and they all stays on a steel rollers. So the furniture from regular furniture store won't be able to handle 20 kilos hangover from here. Below there is a bit lighter drawer full of zirconium, for example, also pretty rare material, hard to get. It gets black grayish tint when you anodize the final product. It will show it in the video probably. And nearby there is like a fancy one, the Altem, kind of polyheteroimide plastic, which is pretty popular right now on the knife market and everyday carry market, and I have to prepare a few Mjolnirs out of it. It's just waiting in the line, already prepared to put into my CNC machine. Over here is like the carbon fiber in different variants. It all comes from the Fat Carbon from Lithuania. It's my favorite carbon supplier here in Europe. I've tested many brands, but this one works great for my custom purposes and also for the knives collaboration I'm making with. Different companies, they also use the same carbon fiber supplier, so we can match my products. I can match my products with all the gear in everyday carry community because most of them, the quality one is made from the Fat carbon fiber. That's why I decided to use the same good and proven manufacturer to match my products with other everyday gear products all over the world. It comes in a different patterns, as I said, the cross pattern and the regular pattern, which is just flip 90 degrees piece of carbon fiber. And it's also made for my customers' request because it's thick. You cannot just regularly buy such a thick piece of carbon fiber. It's basically a brick of carbon fiber, which you can machine down to desired shape. So there's a lot of leftovers, like carbon leftovers nearby.
Do you have any brass millings?
Yeah, actually I collect brass for recycle reasons. So this bucket, you go to the restaurant and you have a nice steak, but first you have to actually change it in a metal scrap to like $100 or something. If you get enough of the brass chips and brass leftovers, after a year or two of milling, you just grab the bucket, goes to the metal scrap, and then you can go to the restaurant and celebrate your recycling process. And over here, the Calove, which means inches. I do have 1 and 2 American style drawers fits with American standards.
So American standards mean burgers per bald eagle?
No, it's actually have like a different pitch thread and different weird size for us here in Europe, but sometimes you have to match weird screw with your prototype, and you have to use their standards, which might be confusing sometimes.
As he gave me this presentation, I'll learn more about materials in under 5 minutes, then after collecting knives for 5 years. But the coolest part is yet to come, since he's just about to teach me how to operate a milling machine and control quality under a microscope.
And now we can go to the grinding room, the dirty one. So there's a grinding room filled with machines which makes dust, all kind of dust. Surface grinder, the old German CNC grinder, which I restored almost from the scrap, repainted it and trying to calibrate. Few more stuff to make for the surface grinding, the grinding wheel attachment, the holders, polishing machine, demagnetizer, drill bit sharpener, sandblasted cabinets, not set it yet, still working on them. The main compressor over here, filled with a foam insert to insulate the noise. And the working bench, so far with the lathe parts, which I'm also working in. They have to be adjusted, milled, drilled a bit, and assembled in the main machining department area. This is the vacuum for dust collection, and basically that is. We can turn the big monster on. It's also a CNC, but the old type, so we can see the difference on a screen. For example, this one is an old type of CNC screen with only a few axes. We can make it alive.
So this is the machine you want to use for custom knives?
Yeah, this one is the machine which I'm gonna use for blades mostly and the titanium scales, which provides a very flat and even surface for the stock, which will next mill on the CNC mill. And even after the CNC mill, it can come back here to the magnet table to prepare the surface. It runs with the stones. This kind of stones goes up here, starts to turning on and do the surface, and this one is filled with fluid. It's a fluid bank.
And meanwhile Ostap showed me around, I realized he literally built everything here with his own hands, alongside his dad, who's also a very talented artist.
So here's the finishing department. I call it the finishing department because there are all the stuff I need for the finish my Mjolnirs. After the milling process, the Mjolnirs, it's fully shaped, but it's not finished, which we will see under the microscope soon. It looks nice from far away, but if you start to get picky and look from the really close with the proper tools, you will start to see that there are a few things which has to be done in a better way. So basically what I use for finishing is polishing and sanding equipment. And the most important place is over here. It's the working space with good lighting. So we have like few sources of light, and above over here as well, full of bulbs. And the main chair. This is actually one of my recent discoveries, the lab chairs for laboratory work. When they sit all day doing the blood checks and stuff like that, and you're like hanging here on the microscope and doing the lab work. So basically, in this area, I do the same kind of sitting. I sit all day over here and do and this chair is really nice with supporting your back, and you can sit and work on it like for 8 hours, which I sometimes do, and your back is not in pain. Also, might be not super important for users who is sitting like an hour or two, but for 8-hour sitters, there's like a footrest. So you have to be like in a pilot cabin with your legs, back and hands supported. Good lighting, and your main tool, which are grips. I used to use the standard grippers, which you can buy in the shop. They're pretty convenient for most tasks, but for a specific products you're working with, you need proper tooling. So I couldn't find it anywhere. So I decided to build it, based it on my friends' makers' experience. Most of my friends are knife makers or pen makers, but we use the same materials and the same technology, the CNC machines and finishing equipment. So I've seen an idea in one of my friends' workshop. They use the car balls, for hanging the car weights behind your car, and it's pretty solid material which can rotate as a sphere. So basically that's the vice I built myself because I couldn't find any suitable one in the shop. It's pretty beefy, probably pretty well over-engineered and over-designed, and could be less heavy, but it weighs like 25 kilos, maybe 25, maybe 10 kilos, but still it's rigid enough so I can put it on its right position, block it with all four blockers, and then start to work in any direction I want. I will just show you how it works. Basically, you can grab the piece you're working with, remove the handle from the way, which is also a very useful feature. If you decide to make a vise or something someday, these handles are amazing. You just put them, crank them as much as you want, and if they stay on way, you just put them away without doing the change in your setup. So basically you're finishing it like that with the proper lights, sometimes even lights on top of your head. It's also helpful, so you can do all the checks, and with a proper magnifying glass like this, or with my watchmaking loops, like a small one which you can place right very close to check the actual quality during your work. So I'll switch it off. And I finish the Mjolnir with the sandpapers. This is the stock of sandpapers I use. Basically sheets of automotive sandpapers for automobiles, for polishing cars' bodies. But they're very nice, they're very even, and they come in different grids. Usually I start from P80 or P60. It's like a medium grid to remove the milling marks. And the goal is to remove all the marks from previous process. So previous process was the milling. It leaves milled film finish, which you can clearly see if you know where to see. And then you use the sandpaper to remove the milling marks. So if you have like your Mjolnir placed, you move to the sanding department over here. We have like different shaped, actually two shapes, round shapes and square shapes sticks, on which I place the already pre-cutted sandpaper. So just cut the smaller piece on a cutting board, which are super useful in the workshop, so you can place them all over your shop and cut things on top of your benchtop, so without hurting the actual surface. Just wrap it around the rectangular stick. A bit of magic workshop mixture placed over here.
WD-40 solves everything.
Yep, it solves everything. And then when it has like a smooth move, you can do the surface. There's already big difference in the finish. If you will capture it before and after, it's pretty huge difference. But I'm not sure if the lens can get it.
Oh, we will move it closer.
Also, you can from time to time mark it with your marker to see where you're actually touching or not touching. And when it's black, can see there's black marker leftovers,
wow,
which you need to remove, and it usually stays in the deeper grooves, so you know you have to dig deeper to make even surface.
This is how I sharpen my knives.
Yeah, it's exactly the same mechanism. You just remove the paint, and if the paint is removed properly, you can see it's here.
Which one is more difficult to finish, titanium or zirconium?
The most difficult one is, it's a tricky question, because in terms of machining, titanium is way more solid, rough, and strong. So it takes more time to machine titanium, and it kills tools faster, because they get dull pretty fast on titanium, not that dull on zirconium. Then finishing, because titanium is harder, it's also longer, so you have to finish all the chamfers and sand all the edges, which takes longer time than on zirconium. And then when it comes to polishing, you have to polish zirconium properly before you make it dark gray black anodization, flame anodizing. So it takes way more time on final stage to finish zirconium and make it nice even black coating than just bead blast the titanium or put a sanded surface on titanium. That's why zirconium is usually the more expensive material, and just rough stock, it also costs few times more zirconium over the titanium itself. So this all surfaces around this one, this one, this, and this has to be finished the same way. So only surface is finished. It's just the middle one. And to remove the stuff, I usually use just isopropanol alcohol and and do the color removing. But the regular tissues, as I mentioned, leaves particles of dust on it, so I prefer to use the optic fiber, optic cleaners, because it's way more cleaner that way, and you can actually remove all the dirt without any particles and see if finish is there. It's not there, but the main surface over here, it's suitable for an engraving process, and then you can finish rest of it when engravings will be done.
And the way Ostap explained everything down to the tiniest details, his job started reminding me of a Swiss watchmaker, since he aims for the highest achievable quality and for a perfect balance of function and form. So what are we doing now?
We are going to put a logo engravement onto the brass Mjolnir. There's a logo to put here. Surface is already prepared. It was hand sanded up to 800 grit. And now we have to put it into the milling machine and do the logo engraving on the top. For that you will need to prepare the machine. Machine is turned on, warmed up, and we will need some tooling. We will need this tool, dial indicator, the ballerine so-called, and the engraver bit. These three tools should be okay. And then we need the fixture of Mjolnir 3, yes. That's a holding fixture I designed and made at the very beginning to put a repeatable logo engravement into my Mjolnirs. It's basically place the Mjolnir in the right space, and then you can position it and put it in the machine and do the engraving from the top. And it's pretty repeatable, up to a few microns, maybe less, because it works on a 3-point contact. It's here, so you can feel the lock is touching to the end of the bit. It's slightly scratching, and it's exactly 20 millimeters. So we just put that coordinates into the z-axis.
Let me know before you press the button.
Okay, you press the button.
Oh, I pressed the button!
I press the button, I use the goggles.
Okay.
So, yes, you can actually, should not blow away our minds, but you can press the button. You have to...
Which one?
Cycle start.
Cycle start.
Yeah. So now I will show you the difference between unfinished piece, so just roughly milled, and you can clearly see the surface finish. It's end mill marks all over the surface. It might look nice from the far away, but from the close-ups, or where you start to close up with your eyes, you will clearly see the milling marks. And now the finished surfaces. You can see the surface quality difference. And now to compare, I will just make them both together. So you can see this way, finished and unfinished surface. Differences. And the point is to not only to make a nice looking reflective surface, but to make it symmetrical and meet in exactly in one point. And I mean in one point, it's really in one exact point, as close as you can get. That's the whole trick, and that's why it takes so much time, because this one point is exactly right here. And if you're not meeting there, the quality is not top-notch then. For example, before finishing, surfaces are quite off, and you can clearly see that under the microscope. There is no single point meeting. It's like a gap over here. And this gap is exactly human hair width. So if I put my hair right over here, maybe you will be able to see it.
That's so crazy.
So that's the amount we are looking for. This is like a human hair off center from the surface meeting point. And one more time we zoom up to the right point. Somewhere. Oh, yes, it's here. This is the right meeting point, and if we place the human hair, it starts to be huge. And the hair is probably around 500ths of millimeters. No, it's 400 of millimeters, a bit less. Yeah, basically 400 of millimeters. The hair.
Hey man, thanks for giving us this awesome tour. It was very nice to meet you in person.
Pleasure.
If others want to contact you, how is that possible?
I think they can meet me at the shows, the IWA show in Germany, Atlanta Blade show, Siki show in Warsaw, and they can reach me also through my Instagram, Ostap Hel Knives, or through my Facebook, or directly by email.
And as my final note, let me tell you that I eventually spent 4 days in Poland, and Ostap gave me a full trip around his beautiful hometown Szczecin. We also made content for one of his Kickstarter campaigns, and we had a lot of fun filming together.
Guys, you do the...
Yeah. Your makeup is perfect. Throughout these projects, I've got to know him not only as a great designer, but also as a very cool person. And I can't wait to see what the knife industry holds for him in the future.